primary ignition.
Welcome to Unlimited Power. My name is D-Rod, and here's my Twilight of the Republic pre-release guide for Quinlan Voss. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, I always want to focus on commons and uncommons within the set that are going to work well with leaders and their abilities. Yes, there are going to be some great rares and legendaries that fit well with characters like Quinlan, but at your local pre-release or sealed event, you are only getting 6 booster packs. So the amount of rares and legendaries you're going to see are going to be a lot less than the commons and uncommons that you're going to have available to you. I may point out a couple of rares that will benefit you, but ideally I just want to talk about some cards that I think will work well with Quinlan, his colors, and his ability. Let's go ahead and take a look at what he does once we get him on the table. So as a leader, Quinlan says when you play a unit, you may exhaust him. If you do, deal 1 damage to an enemy unit that costs the same as the played unit. Restrictive, but in a maybe even a more restrictive way. So in order to trigger this ability, you have to play a unit. This doesn't mean creating a unit, which we have cards in this set that are going to create tokens. This doesn't this requires you actually having the word play involved. So you're playing it from your hand, or you are using other abilities that allow you to play a card. Now, if you do, you can exhaust him, which means you can only do this once per phase. And you deal 1 damage to an enemy unit that costs the same as the played unit. Same is the key word here. The likelihood of this happening consistently every turn is low. You're having to predict that you have the cards in your hand a similar cost as the ones as your opponent. There are ways you can do this in a limited format to maybe play this effectively, but I would say this is a very advanced leader that may have some issues in limited play, more than he would have in constructed. Now, as an epic action, you can deploy Quinlan when you have 5 or more resources, which means you can do this as early as turn 4. When he is deployed, he's a 3/7 unit with the similar ability that says when you play a unit, you may deal 1 damage to an enemy unit that costs the same as or now less than the played unit. Okay. I don't have to exhaust him when he's deployed. And now I can hit units that cost less. So maybe I can find better targets. This is important because battle droids have a cost of 0. Clone troopers have a cost of 0. And I'm talking about the new tokens coming out. So you should be able to always hit them even if you're only playing 1 cost cards. So there's a benefit there. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the cards within this set that I think are going to work well with them, and we'll kind of explain my thought process. The first card is going to be Wolfpack Escort. This is not your ideal turn 1 play. This is a card you hold on to. As a common within this set, it's a 1-cost base unit that's a 2/1, and it says when you play it, you may return a friendly, non-leader, non-vehicle unit to its owner's hand. You may want to bounce units to your hand in order to trigger different effects of Quinlan at the right time. Maybe you had to play your 3-drop early, and now you have 4 resources and your opponent just played a 3-drop with 1 health. Play the Wolfpack Escort, bounce your 3-drop to your hand, play your 3-drop your next action, trigger Quinlan Voss, damage. Okay? A lot of interesting stuff like there. Wolfpack Escort's a common, so hopefully you can see at least 2 within your 6 packs. Another great card is Plo Koon. Plo Koon seems like a staple in the heroic cunning aspect here. He's an uncommon that's a 3/6 with ambush and coordinate. Ambush allows you to ready the unit as long as you can see an enemy unit in play, and you're willing to attack it the same phase. With coordinate, a keyword that is introduced in this set, if you have 3 or more units in play, coordinate is active. Coordinate in this sense gives Plo Koon Raid 3. Raid 3 allows you to get a bonus to your power whenever you are attacking. So this means you could pay 5 for Plo Koon. If your opponent has a unit, you can ready him, ambush that unit by attacking them, and get a +3, so you're attacking with a 6/6 unit. Sounds great. Next is Clear the Field. With so many tokens running rampant, you want ways of dealing with them, and this is Cunning Hero's way of dealing with them. For 2 resources, you can choose a non-leader unit that costs 3 or less and return it. Each enemy return it and each enemy non-leader unit with the same name to their owner's hand. So those clone trooper tokens or battle droid tokens can immediately disappear from the board, and they cannot exist in any other state of the game besides the arena. For cunning, Genesis Patrol Fighter gives you a little bit of variety here. For 5, or you could use the new keyword exploit, which allows you to defeat up to a certain amount of units to lower the cost by 2 for each unit you defeated. Exploit says you can pay 5 or you could pay 1 for this unit. It's a 3/2 space fighter that says when played, you may return a non-leader unit that costs 3 or less to its owner's hand. We talked about the Wolf Patrol Craft earlier. This is similar. The Genosis Patrol Fighter can bounce your opponent's unit or yours back to your hand, allowing you to trigger something else for Quinlan boss's damage if you need it. The B1 security team is a 2-cost unit that's a 3/1 with Sentinel. It's not an ideal unit, but one of the things you want to think about when building Quinlan is, do you have a variety of cost among the units you're trying to play? You're going to want a couple of 2s, a couple of 3s, a couple of 4s, a couple of 5s. You don't need to go all the way up, but with Quinlan being a little bit more specific here on how you can use his ability, if you want to play that to that strength, you're going to need to go a little bit more variety. You don't have to if you don't have the cards to do it, but again, this is trying to help the player who really wants to make Quinlan work. Next is the Hidden Sharpshooter, a 4-cost 4/3 with Ambush, and I enjoy Ambush with Quinlan. This allows you to swing into a unit, and if the Ambusher gets the unit down to 1 health, Quinlan may be the answer to finishing it off. Hidden Sharpshooter is a 4/3, and that's a good cost for something that hits for 4. Especially in this format with 3 health, he could survive a lot of hits if he's hitting tokens. Now, in the aggression aspect, I'm going to recommend the Reckless Torrent, a 3-cost unit that can deal 2 damage to a unit you control and 2 damage to a unit your opponent controls. This only triggers if you have Coordinate online, but this may not be bad, once again, if you know the Quinlan trigger can help you finish off units. Batch Brothers is a 3-cost ground unit that is a 2/1, and when played, you can create clone trooper tokens. Again, earlier I talked about you want a variety of cost. Batch Brother at least gives you a little bit more value, getting 2 units for 3. And if you have to kind of mitigate the values you're looking at, this is a great one for that cost. Senatorial Corvette is a 5-cost space unit that is a 5/4 with Saboteur. So you can get through any Sentinel units in space, which aren't going to be many in this sealed format. And when defeated, each opponent discards a card from their hand. If you're looking for that 5 slot in red, I think Senatorial Corvette really does that for you. Speaking of 5-cost, Clone Commander Cody. 5. He's a 4/4 unit. He has Overwhelm, so he can just hit opponents' bases if it exceeds their health whenever he's attacking units. And he has Coordinate. If Coordinate is online, all of your units in play, except him, get +1/+1, and they get the Overwhelm ability. So you'll be able to just fly through your opponent's units, damage them, kill them, and damage your opponent's bases. I love that. The Subjugating Starfighter is a 4-cost space unit with Ambush. We've already talked about the importance of Ambush with someone like Quinlan. But when played, if you have the initiative, you can get a Battle Droid token, which is pretty cool. And the Advanced Recon Commando is just a solid 3-drop. That's a 4/3 with Overwhelm. Here we saw a variety of resource costs, which again, that's kind of what you want to look at when you're thinking of playing Quinlan. Now, here we go. A couple of other cost. The Vulture Interceptor wing, going to be the first one here. It's a 4-cost base unit. That's a 3/3. And on attack, you can give an enemy unit -1/-1 with this phase. Lowering your opponent's units by 1 could make the difference of Quinlan killing them or not. So having this unit attack, get a little bit of damage, weaken somebody, and then you can play a unit to trigger Quinlan's ability to maybe finish it off. Seems positive. Outspoken representative here. Sentinel can be important to you, but really you just wanted to have this 2-cost unit. This one benefits you because if you do have another Republic unit in play, he will have Sentinel, and when they're defeated, it will create a Clone Trooper token. And at the 5 cost is Obi-Wan's Aether Sprite, a 4/6 space unit that says when played and on attack, you may deal 1 damage to this unit and 2 damage to another space unit. Using cards like this can help you with Quinlan's minor ability. For heroes, we're going to recommend the several clone troopers here that all really kind of, again, fit with what Quinlan's doing. You have a phase 1 trooper that costs 2, just a 3/2. A phase 2 clone trooper with ambush. This time it has it's still a 3/2 and costs 3. And we've already talked about how ambush will help you with Quinlan. And then the Republic Commando, who when they have coordinate will have Saboteur, allowing them to get past any Sentinel units. They are also a 2/5, making them a little bit difficult to kill. Now, let's say you really want to play Quinlan because you're a fan, but your deck doesn't really fit what you're doing. You could play something like Brain Invaders, a rare in the non-aspect slot. If you have this, it will definitely hinder you a lot less than I think it would hinder your opponents. So Brain Invaders says, while this unit's in play, this 2/4 unit, each leader loses all abilities except for epic actions and cannot gain abilities. This means everyone is shut down from their text. It's essentially blank. If you're playing against a Palpatine, it can't flip. If you're playing against a Ahsoka, she can no longer give a unit +1/+0. If you're playing against Count Dooku, he can't increase the exploit cost. What you can't do? What is it Quinlan can't do? Oh, he can't play a card that costs the same as a unit that's already in play in order to trigger 1 point of damage? I think that's why Brain Invaders it does exist, right? And maybe it is to stop your opponent's units, but really, when you have a leader that doesn't feel as penalized, even better. Volunteer Soldier just kind of fits within this set. You have so many troopers and trooper tokens that you should be able to pay 2 for this unit. It has the raid 1 bonus. That means when it attacks, it's a 3/3. And last is private manufacturing. You can't be creating all these tokens and not get even more rewarded for it, but so you can pay 2 cards to draw 2, and as long as you have a token in play, you don't have to complete the rest of the sentence, which says put 2 cards from your hand on the bottom of your deck in any order if you didn't control 2 tokens. This is my advice when it comes to playing Quinlan Voss. Again, I will say that he is definitely more of an advanced unit, and the deck construction here is a little bit harder in order to make his effects work every turn. You may get a couple of shots, and I'm excited to hear about how this went for you if you played him at your local event, whether it's a sealed or pre-release, which start as early as November 1st. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you ended up playing Quinlan, what colors you got, what rares, legendaries you paired with them. Again, I wish you luck, and may the Force be with you.